Well, here we are at Cannae. I wanted to charge forward with the Romans. I'm kind of set up with that intention in terms of putting the low leaders first. It's fine that they're there. Eventually, I mean, this is one of the few times I've gotten that choice where I can make sure that the guys who get the first chances to lead actually can move troops because they're in front. There's one problem, though. There's this Volturnus rule, and of course I'm playing with any optional rule, especially if it adds historicity. First of all the Roman units, there's a wind blowing this way with sand, etc. We have sandstorms here, and I'm assuming it's similar to that, very unpleasant, and maybe not quite as severe, but facing into it would be very, very difficult. And you check each turn, but on the first turn it appears to be automatic. It reduces your movement rate by 1. Okay, no biggie there. But it also reduces range on missiles and missile hit number by 1. I think I'm still going to charge forward because I don't like this really packed formation. And while the phalanxes are in place, I want to try to take advantage of that situation because they're kind of screening this cav almost entirely. And this one a little bit, not so much. Alright, so that's what's going to happen. Well, the Velite slashed forward and drove those slingers out of the way, and that's really not difficult at all. At this point, the Romans get to continue sending waves forward if they like. What they're seeing is this opened up possibility where maybe they can get a flank on the phalanxes. Over here, they'd be exposed to the cav, and that sounds dangerous to me. Of course, they're not going to win the cav battle, so maybe the best thing they can do is knock some of the phalanxes out of the way. But in the long run, those cav could destroy their entire army. So they probably don't want to make it any easier on them. Authors make a statement of, well, this is a proof that the phalanx system could still stand up against the Romans, given sufficient cav. You know, if this cav showed up on its own, it might be able to ruin the Roman army. And that's kind of what I was thinking. The only thing that prevents it is something in front of the army to keep it from forming a square. Like we saw, not sure which battle, maybe it was Bagradas Plain, where the Romans formed, you know, a circle or a square. They were able to actually withstand a great deal more punishment that way than had they been exposing flanks all over the place. So, you know, having some infantry or something to break up the line of infantry in that kind of defensive position is important. But beyond that, I'm not sure how much the phalanx really serves as a purpose in against something as flexible and as effective as the Roman legions. Alright. And now the first mixed ragged line of Hastati and regular cohorts from the Aliyah have moved forward as another line activation. It's beginning to get risky here because if the cav can swing in, of course it's got a flank on them. But with these phalanxes stuck in the way, and this is why I wanted them there, because I wanted to see, you know, if maybe a Roman charge at the beginning would be more impressive. They're kind of blocking that, and we'll see how it develops. Well, the legions have pushed forward as far as they're going to, and I've already passed with one cav, and I'm going to pass with the other as well for the Romans. And this leaves the hard choices on the Carthaginian side. Obviously, this line isn't going to hold. It's going to fall back. Presumably we'll be able to unroute some of it. But did we attempt to slam forward with an oblique movement with those phalanxes? They don't like doing that. They really do not like doing that. That's how I'm set up. It's going to take a lot of work to get them back further back and try to build a proper attack, and because Varro was more aggressive than historically and just charged in there while the screen was still in place. It leaves a tough situation. Certainly swinging these seems a powerful move, but what do I, is the Cav going to be able to protect that flank? And likewise over here. I don't know, but I don't see any other options. So I think I'm going to have to engage fast. We'll see how that works out. Those big phalanxes are positioning themselves. The Velites have run away from them for that possibility of hitting the flanks. Meanwhile, the Celtic Cav smashed most of the right flank Roman Cav out of the way. Still a few units that they couldn't reach, but they're just so inferior, and Hasdrubal's able to launch. He got a momentum, so he was able to launch 2 waves of attack against them, and just, they were close enough that they could be hit. And we might not see much difference over here. The Numenidians, yeah, they're weak. They're light Cav, which lessens their ability, presumably. Light Cav does not get a penalty. We looked this up before, the other one. They only attack on the 5 table, which isn't too hot. But they get that javelin throw first, and they also have really, really much better tactical quality, which means they're not going to break as easily. I might want to skirmish rather than just hit them all out. But we've seen hitting them all out actually does work. One difference, though, out of all this chart of special values, that doesn't affect the Cav, and we've got some pretty decent tactical quality on the Cav, so I may want to skirmish that stuff, not just count on my high quality versus their heavier armor. But over on this side, the Lancers definitely did their job. So at the end of the turn, we see the Carthaginians have pulled those Numenidians up. They didn't want to engage quite yet. They could have gone in with full charges. They couldn't throw their lances and turn and get away. So they want to get within range where they can do that, but now they're within range where the Romans could attack them. That's not a big deal. They can run away. But if they do that, they expose this flank, and that they don't want to do for the phalanxes. The reason this got off in such a nasty version, and the fact that the Roman Cav didn't move here, is because when Hasdrubal launched his Cav, when he got a continuation, our good consul Paulus decided to try to trump that, and he didn't succeed. So his forces that he was planning on ordering the line of Cav to do something, and they just didn't get to. He's not too upset by it. He's more upset by the fact that Hasdrubal got the continuation down here. All right, well, we got a massive Roman army. We got the slingers turned around. Hannibal managed to sort of rally them. So they're going to provide another layer of distraction for the Romans. The only problem with this is they've got to run through the forces if they get hit here, and they will get hit. As opposed to before, if they'd stayed routed, they could have just slid along the line. But when that whole front hits, they're going to be heading this way instead of to the sides. We also kind of buckled the line, or unbuckled it, straightened it out. Why? Well, primarily there, I'm trying to fall back, but falling back isn't that easy. And I needed to bring these guys up to try to cover that gap there, among other things, and just try to strengthen the position that the phalanxes have. Over here, there's not a lot I can do, but I'm definitely trying to give ground to the Roman army, but it's going to hit, and it's going to puncture that line. There's no question. It's just going to bash through it, I believe. The disadvantage here is that, well, there aren't a lot of Celtic units in the center of the line, so that's okay, because the Celts are a problem if they're defending, and that's what I don't want to face. Alright, I'm going to wrap this one and send it up, because it's almost long enough, and I think it's a very good place to halt.